Hello, and welcome to the Let Them Live podcast. I'm Emily Burning, your host, and also the president and co founder of Let Them Live. We bring you interviews with unsung heroes and inspiring individuals who are in the fight to save babies, mothers, and fathers from abortion. Our goal is to amplify their voices and bring their stories to the forefront, shedding light on the incredible work they do and the lives they touch. This is more than just a podcast. It's a platform that allows everyone to share their pro-life stories and inspire us to passionately continue advocating for life. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today we have a really special guest named Jodie. Thank you so much for being on here, Jodie.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. So, Jodie, you are a pregnancy counselor with Let Them Live. Why don't you tell me a little bit more about that, like how you got involved with Let Them Live, how it all got started for you?
Well, I am a doula first and foremost. And so that kind of led me to the birth world, which led me to learning more about abortion. And that kind of just kept going. I've always been pro life, but once I learned more about how serious abortion is and everything, it just dug me deeper into the pro life movement. And then Let Them Live popped up on Instagram. That's where I found it. And I saw that there was a pregnancy counselor position, and I just threw out an email to them. And like 2 weeks later, I was in training, and I don't know how quickly how it happened that fast, but yeah, and that's kind of the story
That's
there.
That's
Um,
awesome. That seems to be kind of a common thing, like finding us on Instagram or, some people be like, well, my mom donated and told me about it. And then I found you guys or, whatever it is. But I'm really glad that you found us.
yeah, no, I'm happy. I didn't know too much about Let Them Live before that, so it was like kind of all brand new. I was just
Okay.
learning you guys when I threw in. I was like, okay, well, this looks like a good place to be.
Yeah. Well, thanks. And how long have you been doing like doula work? Like, do you want to tell me more about that?
Yeah, I started in 2016 is when I finished my training, and then just about a month afterwards, I had my first client, and that was my friend. And being in a small area, I don't have too many clients, but I am past 10 births now. And what led me to it was I think I have a very curious mind. So I had my first two children, and then I kind of just fell in love with the whole birth scene. So then I learned about being a doula, and it kind of just went from there.
That's amazing. I didn't know about doulas until probably few years ago, I mean, when we were doing Let Them Live, and I thought this is really cool because this is another support person that's there for these moms. And that's something that our Let Them Live moms, and I'm sure you've encountered this, Jodie, need sometimes. They could be a single mom. This could be their first baby. They might be really scared. They have no idea what to expect. And just having someone there might help ease all of that. It's already so stressful. I mean, you're bringing a child into the world. That's kind of there's a lot that's going on with your body. So that kind of a big part of what you do.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I think it really does help me with the pregnancy counseling because I understand the pregnancy aspect pretty well.
They go hand in
And then,
hand, right?
right, exactly. And then the emotional aspect of the vulnerability that pregnancy brings and how to prepare mentally
Mhm.
for birth and postpartum. That's a huge deal too.
Yeah, and
I'm
your
really
and your
grateful for that.
experience as a doula and a pregnancy counselor, how do you approach women that have abortions scheduled and they're in a crisis situation? Like, what is your? I know everyone kind of has their own way, but what do you find is the most successful that you can tell them or show them?
I feel what I found most successful is just being part of a team with them. Most social programs out there, they're just a number, it's a case, and I want them to feel like I'm a friend. I'm there to support them. I have their best interest in mind, and I want to make sure that I'm available to them if they have any sort of crisis that way. They're all in crisis mode, but if something new pops up, I'm right there. It's not like take a number and wait. And I feel like that's really helped because I'm able to just mesh in with them and they reach out to me on the most basic things. because they feel comfortable to do
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, that's a really important point that you touched on is just giving that comfort. Like, I'm a friend, I'm someone that really cares about you. And you really are. I mean, I'm friends with tons of moms that we've helped, years ago. And that's amazing to see how these friendships have blossomed and they're more like family members. And so that's a really great, unique approach to it as well. And it kind of just ties into, my next question is, when you approach these moms, when you get to know them, do you feel like they're willing to kind of open up and let that happen? Are they willing to hear you out? Are they, in a position to do that? Or do you feel like maybe they're more resistant to it? Or is it a mix of things?
It truly is a mix of things because some moms are so quiet and those ones are hard to get in with. Some of them are super bubbly, but bringing in the friend aspect, I feel like I've been able to crack a couple of those shells of the moms that are just trying to be strong. They're just calling all these places, trying to get a hold of as much help as they can. But once they realize that I'm not going to just pass them on, I'm going to be there with them, then they start to relax. And it's been a couple times where it wasn't until the mom actually had a baby and
Mhm.
then she relaxed, and then now she's just full on open to me. Like, she didn't send me pictures beforehand, but then seeing how I was with her every step of the way, I
Yeah.
think really helped.
Wow,
Um,
that's amazing. And how does that feel for you? I mean, I know because I've done it, but like I know it's different for everyone's experience. But like, tell me on your end, because we're giving so much to these moms, but like, what are you receiving?
oh, it just makes me all giddy inside when I get more pictures from them and they just keep telling me all these random things that they did. I enjoy that because I do care and I want to know about how they're doing in other aspects of their life besides financial crisis situations. So I'm just happy. I'm happy that they do open up and I'm glad I'm there for them.
And it's pretty fulfilling. I mean, speaking from personal experience, like there is nothing quite like helping someone else. And with Let Them Live, it's such a specific type of help that we're very passionate about, and we're not just helping one person, we're helping two people. And in some cases, we're helping three or four people if there's twins and triplets, which there have been. So that's pretty awesome. Have you had any twins or triplets?
I haven't. No, nope.
Okay. There was a period of time. I can't remember if it was last year or the year before, but I swear it was like another twin mom, another twin mom. It was just like so many back to back. So I don't know if it what it is, but I'm sure we'll see some more here pretty soon. So, and that's you did talk about too. What I want to touch on, is kind of the communication after a mom gives birth. Do you find that most of the women that you counsel are still wanting to stay in touch, or is that kind of, do you kind of let them decide if they want to stay in touch? Like, what does that look like for the moms you've worked with?
I've had about even on both sides. Some of them are staying in touch. I've connected just deeper with a couple other ones, and we message each other back and forth, just like day to day life. But I do leave it open that they can reach out to me anytime after our case closes with them. And I do touch in every now and then. I know our thing says every 6 months to check in, but I like to check in more than that, let them know I am thinking about them. And they seem to really appreciate that too, because usually I don't know, I just message them right at the right time and send them
Yeah.
some love. And they're like, I needed that so bad. I've
Yes.
had
Well,
that
it's
times.
amazing. It's amazing how you just kind of happen to know when to do that. It happens to me where I'm like, I haven't talked to Olivia in a while. I'm just going to check in. I'm just going to see how she's doing, and it's kind of that like there's like a random urge in you to reach out to a mom, and make sure things are going good. And sometimes, I mean, life gets busy, not just for us, but for them. They're a new mom or they have, a bunch of kids. And so sometimes it's not so easy to keep up, but it's really great that you do that. And I think that that's something that maybe makes Let Them Live stand out a little bit, as well, like our pregnancy counselors. What else would you say to people watching or listening and like sets Let Them Live apart in your personal experience as a pregnancy counselor?
Pretty much just the true connection that we make. Because not many other places, I'm not too sure about like other pro-life organizations, but just thinking of like the social aspect of things is we're in there with them. We're also getting them at the most critical times in their lives. That's when they reach out. And so that requires a lot of vulnerability on their part. And I feel that that kind of in turn makes them more open and builds a stronger bond between counselor and mom.
Yeah, 100%. I feel the exact same way. And we're trying to make sure that they have the resources they need. And what I really love about Let Them Live as well is just the partnerships that we have, realizing that it takes a whole bunch of people to make sure that a mom is supported. And, we may not be able to provide every single thing that a mom needs, but knowing that we work with other organizations is pretty amazing too. And we really have a great movement of support and love for so many moms. And so, one other question I did have for you, it's we've talked about really positive, upbeat things, and this is something I like to ask all pregnancy counselors because I myself have experienced this. But have you had any moms that you've counseled that have, ended up not accepting our help and ended up having an abortion?
Yes, I have.
Mhm. Do you want to, can you describe maybe like the situation or, how you remember feeling in those moments?
Most situations, honestly, is when there is a medical situation going on. And that's the hardest one I feel for me to counsel them out of abortion because we've had a repeat mom where she lost her previous baby when she was with us. And that's hard. It's like finding the words to say there. And then I feel that pain of that decision that they had to make. But at the same time, I know I tried everything. So it's really hard. I mean, I can't help but feel a little guilt for every single one of them of like, what else could I do? But some of them, like, we tried everything and just didn't
Yeah.
help. And then
Yeah.
the hardest part is to get the message from them, like, right after saying, I can't do this anymore. I want to end my life. This is the worst decision of my life. And so just the instant regret. I have countless messages from them just saying, I can't believe I just did that. And that part breaks my heart because I feel like the society failed them. Society lied to them. And I don't know. I tried, but
Yeah, you can tell that it's like heavy and that you feel that. And the sad thing is that this is something I hear from you guys, from the counseling team, and something I've experienced as well personally is that immediate text, that immediate communication after a woman has an abortion, after we tried and tried to give support, and it's a message of I I regret this. I can't believe I did this. And I think the saddest part for me is knowing that they know now that they can't take it back. You can't go back once you've had an abortion. You can't get that life back. It's gone forever. The and that's just heartbreaking as a counselor, especially when you just did everything. And I'm sure there's times, and I've done this as well, where you're like, "What else could I have done? What could I have done something to save this life?" And it's difficult to be a pregnancy counselor because on one hand, you need to mourn the loss of that life and your brain starts kind of going in those circles of what more could I have done? But then you also have to be resilient. Pregnancy counselors are so resilient and you have to rebound and say, okay, like I have to be in the headspace to help the next mom that comes in so she doesn't have an abortion. So, how do you personally find that balance between, this mom just had an abortion, but I need to now be ready to help this mom?
I accept the fact that I can't change what happened with that one mom. I mourn the loss of her baby and the pain that she's going through. But it's just a mental switch of like, okay, take a deep breath, definitely pray about it. And then if I do need the time, I take a little bit, couple days to kind of recuperate, make sure that I can give my whole everything to the next mom. But then I also feel like it's a fine line of, oh, I lost the last one and I want to make sure I don't lose this one, but that's nothing I can force. You almost want to go like extra hard on them, but then I don't want to do that because I'm scared of pushing them away too. So it's that fine line of like, you just give them the same love that I've given all these other moms. Yeah, just
That's a
open the door.
that's another really good point that you brought up that I don't think I've talked about on this show yet is, the possibility of maybe like over counseling or over compensating because of a previous life, lost. So that's a really good point that you bring up. So to do that, you just kind of recenter yourself before you counsel mom and just say like, okay, I have to give her the best chance. I need to just keep the emotions at bay. And that's kind of what you do?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, no, that's really important. You're already like full of wisdom. I mean, I hope that anyone who's listening to this that is a pregnancy counselor or wants to be a pregnancy counselor hears this, because these are really important things to know, because we're trying to give every single mom and every single baby the best chance at life. My next question, I really wanted to get into like more of the specifics. Is there one mom, or maybe two moms, because I know it's hard to pick just one mom that really stands out to you that you've counseled, or that you have a very personal connection to? Why don't you share a story or two with us?
Yeah, I have one mom, and well, I have several that I'm really close to, but the one that really stands out the most is one of my first moms that I got when I started. And it was a really difficult couple weeks of going back and forth between her choosing life, her not. She had two kids already, she was all alone. And in the end, she really did choose life. And then the next day, she found out she miscarried. So that was really rough. But I've been talking with her ever since. And even though she lost her baby, the whole new world of all this love opened up to her. And she realized that there's this massive community that cares for her. And she started volunteering in her church, and just this whole demeanor changed of realizing not all is hopeless. And every now and then she'll send me some updates of things that she's done within the church. Like for Thanksgiving, they served out food with her kids, and just saying how happy she is to have that, even though she mourns the loss of her baby. And we did a special little prayer at her due date when baby was supposed to be born, and just keep talking about it and, remembering. But just seeing how much her entire life changed just by reaching out to us is, I don't know. I think about it all the time. It's
Yeah,
truly
that's
making
amazing.
a difference.
You never know who you're going to end up impacting, and the ripple effect of that impact, and we've had a number of women who have chosen life and then they miscarry. And, it's so sad because that is a loss. Fortunately, it's not the same type of loss as an abortion. Fortunately, that mom that you counseled, she doesn't need to look back with regret. She doesn't, she knows that she was going to give her baby a chance. But I mean, it's still extremely difficult. But to have you there with her, what an amazing like person to walk through these times with, right? The highs, the lows, the goods, the bads, all of that. And we have so many wonderful moms, and it must feel pretty good that you get to help so many people.
Yes, I love it.
I love that. That's awesome. So what would be your advice if there's any, women who are in a crisis pregnancy, like listening to you right now? Like, what would be your advice to them?
Reach out for help. There's help everywhere. I have many moms come to me, and they're like, there's nobody out there. And then I show them the list, and they're like, oh my goodness, I had no idea that people actually do truly care. And there are people out there that care. We're here, I'm here, and there's no shame in reaching out. I mean, we all want to work together, so why don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's perfectly said. Reach out. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? You get support and you get to experience the joy of a beautiful baby, and you get some more information about how we can help. And that's what we do, right? Like we help. Women that go into Planned Parenthood, they are paying for, they're paying for things. When you come to Let Them Live, we are helping you pay for things, right? Like it doesn't cost you a thing. We're really just here to help. What advice, and this is my last question for you, but what advice would you give to anyone who's listening that, is maybe considering becoming a pregnancy counselor?
Go for it. Go for it. Do the training. If it's something that you kind of have to go through the training and do it to know if that's something you truly want to. It's difficult at times because it is a high stress situation, but it's so worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's absolutely amazing. I would say the exact same thing. I mean, there is a lot of stress. It's an emotional position. It's a lot. But the question is, what is a life worth? What is the life of a mom and her happiness worth? And, sometimes we have to step out of our own comfort zone to do that. So if anyone is listening, wants to donate to get involved with, become a pregnancy counselor, donate to Let Them Live, you can go to letthemlive.org. All of the information is there. And you get to, we have opportunities to volunteer and intern and do pregnancy counseling like Jodie. So Jodie, I want to thank you so much. Are there any final thoughts that you have? I just wanted to give you the floor.
I think I'm good. You covered them all.
Perfect. There we go. Well, I am so grateful that you hopped on. Thank you so much for all of the life-saving work that you're doing with Let Them Live. And hopefully we can have you back on, once you've had some more wonderful stories in your back pocket from moms you've helped.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. Thank you for joining us on today's episode of the Let Them Live podcast. I would like to give a special shout out to Patrick at Moon Shadow Studios for doing such an amazing job of editing our podcasts. Let Them Live is a Christian nonprofit dedicated to supporting women who are considering abortion primarily due to financial burden. 73% of women have abortions because of financial struggles, and we're here to bridge that gap. Our goal is to provide the emotional and financial support women need to feel empowered to choose life. If our cause resonates with you and you're interested in learning more, getting involved, or making a donation, please visit our website at www.letthemlive.org. One amazing way to contribute is by joining our Heartbeat Club, where you can become a monthly donor, and your ongoing support will ensure we can continue helping women every single month. You can also follow us on social media to stay up to date with all the amazing stories and ways that you can be part of our mission. We are on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, Facebook, and Twitter. Just search for @LetThemLiveOrg, and you can also find me on Instagram @EmilyBurney. Thank you once again for joining, and please join us for more upcoming inspiring stories and conversations.
This episode of the Let Them Live podcast was produced for you by Moon Shadow Studios. Put your podcast in good hands today and take advantage of our special first-time client discounts by visiting moonshadowstudios.biz or by following us on Instagram and Twitter @Moon Shadow Studios.